nervousness and excitement is basically the same chemical. And so switching to like, oh, I'm excited for this instead of, oh, I'm nervous for this. And like, this can go well and it's fine. Is a cool tool that I've been able to use a little bit.
Good. Yes, that's cognitive restructuring. Reframe is what we call that. But you're also speaking to the importance of learning some kind of technique that changes the state of your body. When I stand in front of a large group and I look out, I connect with one person at a time. I don't speak to the group as a whole.
So the big question is this: how are creators like us, who aren't built for the 9-to-5, for the people who put their passion before them being comfortable, how do we turn that passion into a living that pays the bills and a life that we love? That is the question. This podcast will give you the answers. My name is Noah Mittman, and welcome to Conversations with Creators.
Super excited today because my guest is Dr. Doreen Downing, and she is a psychologist and founder of the Essential Speaking Institute. She specializes in the treatment of anxiety caused by the fear of public speaking and is the author of Essential Speaking, the 7-Step Guide to Finding Your Real Voice. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh, no, thank you for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to have a platform to reach more people. Thanks.
Absolutely. I'm super excited because I have been working to get over my fear of public speaking for years. And it's an ongoing thing, but I'm definitely going to be picking your brain about tips to help it.
That's great. I did too. And it was about 20 years ago when I was invited to speak. I was a psychologist doing research. And I said, no, I can't speak. It was a conference and they were pretty surprised when they said, but aren't you a psychologist? It isn't your business.
Yeah, right. Exactly. What kind of peaked? It was at the starting of like the interest in getting over the public speaking fear, or where did that interest come from?
I think because that confrontation, yes, that here I am helping people with fear and helping them overcome problems in their life. And I had one that I was hiding. And so for sure, I mean, people talk about the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I would say there was truth to it, that it wasn't just something that I was making up. I was really hiding. And as long as it was one person in my office, I was comfortable. I'm very comfortable engaging.
Yeah, exactly.
With one.
I'm great one-on-one. I'm fantastic one-on-one.
Yes, you are.
So, but it's so different. And like what comes to mind for me right off the bat here is now with Clubhouse being a popular app and a fantastic networking app, you're in these digital rooms now with sometimes 100+ people, and it's essentially public speaking, but it's just a digital. You may be walking around your house with your headphones on, but like you're talking in front of a lot of people, and man, that especially when it's like a networking thing and you have like your little pitch that you can do, my heart gets going. It's intense.
Yes, and that's I think any place in life is like a stage, and we always have stages. It's not just standing in front of a crowd giving a presentation.
Right.
A conversation with a couple of people. I know that I work with, there's some people who say they're sitting at their family dinner table and they have anxiety about speaking it. And I know I did when Easter time or
Absolutely.
any kind gathering. And it was just, I think what you just said about the numbers is one thing. The number, and there's something about the number of people who have eyes on you that create, and you're saying Clubhouse, well, the eyes aren't on you.
Right.
But
they can easily be. I mean, it is your kind of public persona, or even with your family, I think it's very much, we don't as humans want to look dumb when we're giving our opinion or teaching or something. Like that like I want to look good thing is so real. And again, I've realized over time it is being authentic, and messing up is fine. And the world doesn't end if you stumble over your words.
Well, you just said that. So because you're having a situation, well, pretty much daily on Clubhouse, and you're saying your heart beats fast. You said that in your brain. You said it's okay. It's all right that I
Yeah.
flub.
It doesn't stop me from doing it. It just is like,
Uh-huh.
okay, this is gonna be intense. And then as soon as I start talking, I'm okay. But like, it's like that stage fright. Like before you're on stage, it's scary. And then as soon as you get on stage, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm fine and I'm still me.
Well, there's some research, and there's a book that's been out just recently by two neuropsychologists who have studied the brain. And this is what is so exciting right now, I think, in terms of explaining why people get so, like your your cortex says, hey, it's okay. But the hindbrain, where the amygdala lies, that's the, what they call the lizard brain. That's the one that's activated. And in their research, they found that there are two systems in our brain that are their book is called Rewire the Anxious Brain. And that explains that you could tell yourself, but the hindbrain has a whole other, system going on that is activated. And you can't tell one part of your brain to stop getting nervous because it has its
What's
own.
the name of that book again? Because I'm sure me and a fair amount of the audience struggles with anxiety, like just in daily life. I have a lot of anxiety, and I would love to be able to have as many tools as possible to help with that.
Yeah, it's Rewire the Anxious Brain by Pittman and Carl, two neuroscientists who have really proven that there is a reason why people still get anxious, even though they've done Toastmasters, they've worked hard, they do what you're doing is everyday speaking. And the reason, I just wanted to say that part of what I do in my program as a psychologist is to first get at the roots of anxiety. Not that I have time to do that with you here, but just the idea that there is something that happened in people's lives, whether it was circumstantial, whether it was more traumatic, like a classroom or a family kind of situation where you're the quiet one and other siblings took up all the space. So you never got a chance to feel like I have the platform and everybody's looking at me and it feels great. So that's what I do first. And that's what the hindbrain, that's what that does, is hang on to early, almost unconscious experiences. So first, it takes a little while. It takes courage to dig a little deeper, but because that seems to be where the anxiety lies for a lot of people who are pretty well accomplished, but still get nervous.
And I think the nerves is, healthy in some ways. It's a great thing I heard a couple of years ago was the switch of like the nervousness and excitement is basically the same chemical. And so switching to like, oh, I'm excited for this instead of, oh, I'm nervous for this. And like, this can go well and it's fine. Is a cool tool that I've been able to use a little bit.
Good. Yes. That's cognitive restructuring. Reframe is what we call that. But you're also speaking to the importance of learning some kind of technique that changes the state of your body. And a lot of people, it could be meditation, it could be breathing, it could be those daily apps that, Calm or Headspace. Balance is what I'm using nowadays, but it's about training your body to. Anxiety is the warning signal, like warning, danger, threat. And as soon as you hear that, you've got to be able to do whatever. For me, it's counting backwards and taking a deep breath. I've trained my body to go down, down, down to a calmer. Ooh, I just felt it. It feels to a calmer,
real time
state inside of my gut, as opposed to my head and my chest, and being activated in that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's fantastic. It's the tools and even for me, it's like bringing my shoulders down because I'm always tense in my shoulders. I have to just rest a little bit.
Yeah. the body responds if we train it to do that. And that's what
Yeah.
that's what the hindbrain is about. The amygdala just needs to be soothed and calm, and that's what we do. And I think the biggest problem is that people get a little signal anxiety, is what they call it, and the signal indicates, oh my God, it's really going to get worse, and that's what accentuates it. What adds to the anxiety is the anxiety signals oncoming out of control, as opposed to it should be. And this is what I want people to at least take from today, is that anxiety is a signal to go to, as you said, the tools. So have tools like some kind of breathing, some kind of stress reduction. And that would be one thing, is some kind of relaxation technique.
Absolutely. So I want to dive in to kind of the summary or Cliff Notes version of your 7 steps to finding your real voice, because that is such a, I think that there's so much value there and so much like help that what you've written about and what you've kind of made can help people with.
Yes. I discovered these 7 steps, or at least I put them together out of my own recovery and my own journey to find my voice. I had taken Toastmasters, won lots of contests, but I still had not reached. And this is the kind of person I love working with, is they go, I've done everything, but I still can't get on.
Right.
So after we do the assessment and the digging for what the roots are, and I have some treatment exercises and some processes that I use to help people deal with the healing or some kind of getting at the root that's going to calm their nervous system. So then I go into the 7th step. And the first step is be still. And you notice that it's a be, because my approach to speaking is not about making a better speech. It's like what you're saying. It's a state of being.
Right.
And so the first step is to learn how to be still, because people think that they're going to go blank. And so let's practice just getting calm and going blank first, so that it's no longer scary. And then you've got techniques like, oh, what did I just say? If you're comfortable in being silent, if that happens and you lose your way and you lose your words, you could say, I just lost my way. You could be natural, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first one. And then the second one is be present. Notice I'm doing be, because it's about being. It's not about speaking. None of the 7 steps actually happen to be about speaking, how to be a better speaker, because my sense is that if you can get at who you are authentically, and then the being state is where your strength is. So presence, because we have had some kind of trauma or failure in the past, that's why we think we're going to repeat it, and we anticipate in the future failure. So be present, be present. You've got so many gurus out there that teach presence. So.
No, I just thought about the like where maybe my anxiety has come from. And I remember way back in high school, I did a lot of musicals, and I could sing, so I was always like the lead guy. And I totally blanked on a line in Guys and Dolls, and that was like literally it was so bad that the rest of the play, like I was one of the main guys, so half the play didn't make sense because I didn't get some lines out.
Oh,
and
wow.
I just remember like, oh yeah, that cold feeling of forgetting is probably a contributing factor to public speaking fear, for sure. Anyway, that was totally off subject, but I just that came into my head.
No, it's not off subject. It's exactly what's so thrilling when I start digging with people, is they do come up with those memories. And there's the part of you, part of your energy, part of your power that's stuck back there. You had to go on with play. You had to go on with life. But that moment, it's a little
I remember that feeling literally so clearly. It was just it was cold and silent and just like just pure fear of just like, I literally have no idea what the next line is, and nobody's helping right now, and damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that needs to be attended to. That was standing
No,
there.
I think it does. I think it does, because I have a feeling that a somewhat of a public speaking, I'm not going to say call it a career, but promotional stuff for what I'm doing is in my future. So I would love to be a natural and happy public speaker.
Yeah.
When I have, bumpers with note cards, I'm great, but I'd love to just be able to just free form.
Yes. Yes. I totally understand what you said. I'm glad you pointed to that, because that, just to be off topic for a second, I have worked with people who have anxiety, and let's just say that what I do first is find out, so what are the circumstances? What are they really afraid of? And so let's take Imposter. I worked with somebody who found it 12 years old, his father died, and his uncle came to him and said, "You're now the man of the family." And he went, aha. I was an imposter. I could never be the man of the family at 12 years old. So every time he comes on stage, that old wire gets reactivated. So what you just pointed to, I think, is really profound.
Yeah. No,
Really.
thank you. That was cool.
So be still, be present. And then I use something other than eye contact, and I say, be gazing. And it's a softening. Right now you could soften your eyes. And when you soften the sockets around your eyes, your cheeks relax. And like what you just said, your shoulders drop. There's a kind of a relaxation that comes over your entire body. And it just happened to me again as I'm talking. I just calm down when I soften my eyes. And so it's a gazing rather than a staring or a looking, because people are afraid to have all those eyes. So if you soften your eyes and look out from a softer place, I think it helps people not feel so afraid of eye contact.
Yeah, no, I get that, because hey friends, it's your podcast buddy Noah Midman here, and I want to talk to you a little bit today about one of my passion projects, my clothing brand, Clothing for Creators. Roll the tape.
If my life were a movie, the hero's big speech would end with, "Stop waiting, start creating." Because that's the drive behind my story. Like when I couldn't afford to finish film school. So instead, I started my own production company and gave myself a trial by fire YouTube business degree. And it's not just me with these kinds of stories. There is this growing movement of passionate, creative, flow state writing, hustling, persistent creators and entrepreneurs that are taking the internet and the world by storm.
Everybody told me I wasn't going to be able to make any money as an artist. Now, 15 years later, I've worked on 3 continents. I do own my house. My shop, I'm booked out 8 months ahead. I don't subscribe to being a starving artist.
Creativity and I are very deep, dark lovers. I've just decided I'm just going to make stuff. And even if it's not perfect, like, it's getting made.
You're going to think that there's right answers and there's not. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Let's just throw dye on it and it'll look great.
You don't need rules some old guy in a suit made up. You don't need anyone telling you that your voice doesn't matter. We are makers, creative types, side hustlers, doers. Why? Because we get shit done.
The most important thing every single day is just to get your shit done.
Just keep doing it, keep producing, keep creating, and as you do that, you're going to start becoming the person that you want to be.
Don't be scared to try. Commit. You can't half-ass do something. We're full-ass around here.
So there's a film you need to make, a company you need to create, a voice you need to share, a product you know the world needs. Put all of yourself into it until anyone who has ever doubted you starts asking you for a job. Then you get to play for a living. You get to create community.
Partnerships, collaborations, building bonds with people that like the same stuff you like.
You get to live with your heart on your sleeve, a smile on your face, and a solid answer to when anybody asks, why do you do what you do?
Sometimes you have to say fuck all the rules to get something that you really need to get out of yourself.
You don't need the opinion of the old guy in the suit.
You have to give yourself permission to just go. A little less conversation, a little more action.
Clothing for Creators. Go check out snowmanfilms.shop today.
Hey there, fellow creatives.
Conversations with Creators dives deep into the minds of successful filmmakers, artists, musicians, and all-around awesome people. We are looking for some kick-ass sponsors to help us keep this show on the road. If you want to reach a tribe of dedicated listeners who are just as passionate about creating as you are, then look no further. Our audience is full of people who appreciate a good laugh and are always on the lookout for new ways to fuel their creativity. So, let's team up and create some magic together. We'll work with you to make sure that your brand is showcased in the best light possible. And who knows, maybe we'll even become lifelong friends. Just imagine, years from now, we'll be reminiscing about the good old days when we first teamed up to take the world by storm. Send us an email at noah@snowmanfilms.net to say hey and get the ball rolling. Now back to the episode.
I think a big thing in the public speaking that I did do before the pandemic, I was doing workshops and stuff, is people's paying attention and learning faces feel like I'm judging you and I don't like this.
Yes.
When they're concentrating on what you're saying, they're not smiling. They're, oh, let me like get this down. But it doesn't, it looks like, oh, like, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
So I like that. So softening and not getting those direct in your brain, like, oh, what are they thinking right now? Just the audience is the audience and it's fine.
Yes. And the next step is be listening. And this relates to exactly what you said. You're right on course here. So be still, be present, be gazing, and be listening. I think a lot of people are so focused on being the speaker, it puts them to a different state. And if you think about yourself as a listener, you're more receptive. You are able to listen to yourself as you're speaking. You're able to listen to people listening to you. And especially if you're able to not get stuck at judgment and to be able to say, oh, they are receiving me. It is a blank wall oftentimes.
I totally know what that feels like when it's like middle of a sentence or something and you know how it's going to end and you naturally are saying it, but you're thinking about like, oh, this is where, your thoughts are somewhere a little bit different because I think my thoughts are on the next thing I'm going to say, but I have to, my mouth has to finish what I'm saying. It's a super weird sensation. It feels like your brain's moving faster and it's like, it's nice because you can get it out and then you go right into the next thing. But man, that is the first couple of times that happens. It's like, this is trippy.
Yes. It's like a train going fast and you're really holding on to the caboose.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So be listening. And then this next step is it's being positive, but it's not about having a smile on your face and just being raw. This is where I tap into the voice, the deeper voice within. And so I call it the essence. And that's why I call my business Essential Speaking, because it's the essence of you, who you are. And if you could drop down, your voice has a resonance. You are grounded. You are still. You are centered. And you're connected to, I would say, one of the most positive core qualities about you. So it isn't just be positive. It's find the essence of who you are. So with you, Noah, you have a brilliance. You're inside of you. Obviously, probably you became a singer and happened to find yourself on stage because it is a natural thing for you to shine. Inside of I don't know, you could say soul, your spirit, your essence has that quality. And so learning that, how to have the voice come from there.
Yeah.
And so if you practice all the other steps up to now, then your voice coming from a more resonant, deeper place has a sense of power that then reaches other people. It's like engaging. You just become naturally engaging when you know how to speak from that deeper sense of who you are.
Yeah. I think that also, like, what that translates for me as is trusting who you are and what you're gonna say, and like, and just because like if you're speaking on something authentically, even if you're not sure where it's going 100%, you know that you stand by what you're gonna say. So that's you're able to kind of like maneuver and navigate through that darkness of like not having the note card, not having the specific plan, but that's when the stuff that is specific to you can come out.
Yes, what you're saying is what it feels like actually to be all lined up, aligned.
Yeah. Aligned, exactly. Yeah, that's the word.
Flowing. It is.
Oh no, that's a goal. If I can be, and I think I do a little bit, like, these podcasts, it's 30, 45 minutes and they go by usually very quickly for me, which means I am in flow, which is super fun. And we have that little, icon at the top saying there's a couple people watching, which makes this public. So it's being able to trust the flow, which I absolutely do for so much of what I do. The flow state is a tool, which I'm sure for you as well. Yeah. Because it's just the best. But yeah, it's that, I think that deep trust of like, will flow come through for you when your nerves are up?
Exactly. And that's why the next step, be connected, is, it seems like as we go through my steps, you just anticipate.
On to the next one.
So be connected.
That shows that you understand and have systematized the process that's natural, which means you teach it very well. So good. Congrats to you on that.
Thank you. No. So be connected. So what are you connected to? And it's exactly what you're talking about, this core quality inside of you. If you can name it, and it's an affirmation, you can walk around all day long saying, I know I'm warm. I know my heart is just beaming. So, and maybe people could feel that, my love is just with me all the time. And when I stand in front of a large group and I look out, I connect with one person at a time. I don't speak to the group at a whole. Now on Clubhouse, maybe it's more of a visual inside of your mind that you're speaking to just one person. That could be for people who feel like they're on Clubhouse. But if you're in front of a live group, or even, and it's harder on virtual for sure, but it's the sense of having a conversation, one person
talking to one person who needs your help. That's right. Yes. That's a big thing with camera confidence too, is instead of thinking about, this video is going out to the masses, to millions of people, it's what one person in my audience, maybe even that I know personally, am I speaking to right now, and how can I, and they need my help, and how can I help them?
Good point. So that the last step is, or secret as I call them, is be yourself. And the reason why that is so profound, like you said, there's this whole system. You don't just say to somebody who has anxiety, be yourself.
Right.
Yeah. I wrote an article recently. That's the worst advice you can give somebody who has anxiety, is say, just be yourself.
They're scared of themselves.
Yes. They have to be able to know they can, a word you just use, navigate. And that's the whole, knowing you have tools, knowing you have a system, that this actually what I'm talking about is what I do. And for 3 months with people, I take them through this process, one step at a time, and make sure that it builds. It's all cumulative, you might say. If you don't have stillness, you can't have presence. And you can't be comfortable eye-to-eye presence, and you can't be a listener if you're too concerned about what you're saying and thinking about. So all the steps all add up to, I think, really finally being free to be yourself, to have found your voice, and to be able to speak. And it's a deeper confidence. It's not just confidence. It's a deep, resonant, grounded confidence.
It sounds like it's confidence that's based in self-awareness, which is self-awareness is I think one of the best things you can have as a human. When you really understand at a deep level what you know, what you don't know, and then for what you don't know, you're comfortable asking the questions to learn about. So that mistakes are not death. Mistakes are just bumps and part of your journey, and part of this thing of getting better that people can follow.
Well, what you just did was reframe again. And so awareness, for sure, awareness and being able to be in always a learning and a discovery mode as opposed to a performance mode. And I think that that's one of the things that differentiates my approach to overcoming the fear of public speaking is I do not teach performance techniques. I was a little afraid in the beginning when you say, "Oh, let's give us a tip," and I went, "Well, I don't have."
No, but it's just good because it's not oh, do this when you're. It's like, hey, as a person and as an energy, and where like your presence, you can ground yourself, and that's like the basis for everything, because that just covers everything that again, not just with being in front of an audience, but talking to somebody that you really look up to, or being at the dinner table, or like whatever it is, whatever the situation is, you can have knowledge in yourself to be yourself at the highest level.
Wonderful. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Got it. That's great. Yeah.
I've worked with a lawyer who is afraid to go into court, and I've worked with an artist who has to go out and promote her work.
Right.
I've worked with managers. I've worked with a sales VP of sales, by the way, who had to rehearse over and over before.
Well, I mean, sales is a performance. I'll tell you. You have, especially when you have your talking points that you need to get done for like the pricing or whatever it is. Sales, I see sales as a total performance.
Yes. And how to do it in a way that feels way more genuine and authentic, connected, and not all about the sales, but more about the relationship. I guess.
Exactly.
I guess there's a phrase I use: relational presence, to be present and with, so that it's a relation. Presence isn't just I'm present, but there's a relational quality to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And what comes up for me too is it's not tips and tactics. It is basically a learning to be comfortable with being uncomfortable for a bit, so that you can become more comfortable with that sensation, and it becomes comfortable over time, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I've got a quote right here, and it says, dance with the discomfort.
Yeah. No, it is dance with the discomfort, because it is a dance. It is, and that comes up for like playful, and like that's why I call the whole marketing thing like a game. It's a game. You're trying stuff out. You're playing. You're not. It's not life and death. It's you got to pay your bills, of course, but like whatever you're doing, it's playful. It should be fun, and I think for anybody listening to, like, go mess up, go make mistakes, because then you learn. You don't die when you make a mistake. It's okay. We get past it.
A good thing for learning that capacity, I tell people about improv.
Yeah.
And people are even saying, "Oh no, I can't do improv." Well, it's part of learning how to be yourself in the moment. That's presence. Being okay with whatever comes out.
That's literal play. No, I love that. I think that should be, in terms of like, because I've done some improv, and it's just that part of your brain of like playing with all what you have, and there's nothing else that you can like get help from, except for the person you're playing with. But I think that's a great exercise for anybody that wants to get into more public speaking and into more finding their voice, because that is I think a low, especially a class with maybe just a couple people that are having fun. That's a low stress, low stakes environment to practice being in flow and being yourself and being willing to, go with stuff.
Yes, it is. And the whole idea of you'll have judgment, and it's a safer place to work out your judgment if you're doing it deliberately and consciously to find out your own judge, because that seems to be what people carry, is projected outward onto their listeners, but it's really inside of their own head.
Absolutely. No, that's totally right. And it's just interesting coming up for me is like, I am so comfortable doing a paid coaching session for 90 minutes where there's some structure, but I have enough knowledge to where I can guide it. But a 90-minute presentation, I feel for some reason I'm like, oh, I need my like plans and like my, I know I could do it without scripted down to the minute, but that is, man, that dancing with discomfort, that's a big idea.
I know all of this is big idea. And I think that the main thing is, if people have fear, is definitely treatable. And it just has to take that one bit of courage, knowing that there are other alternatives besides Toastmasters. I'm gentle. I think that people, one of the things that they like best is that I create safety as they move through fear slowly and deliberately and come out the other end with freedom to be.
Which is I think the key word of what so much of the audience wants is freedom, to get that freedom that other parts of life or other jobs or whatever aren't giving you. So that's huge. So for people that are interested in learning more, interested in talking with you, how can they get in contact, and what do you have? I know you have a book. Do you have any kind of freebies or anything for the audience?
I think a good way to get started is a 7-step guide. It covers everything in my book, and it's just 15 pages, is short, nice, with lots of pictures. So it's easy. It's an easy first step. And you can get it at Doreen, and that's Doreen, Doreen7steps.com. Doreen, nice. And steps, and 7 is the number 7.
Number 7 steps. Cool.
Yeah. Doreen 7 steps.
That's great. And then if people wanted to connect with you personally, is that a good way? Or what socials are you on?
Everywhere. LinkedIn. LinkedIn. In fact, right now, as you know, I'm part of a 30-day, and we're now on 29, 30-day challenge where I do videos every single day. And yesterday, I did something a little more personal. I've been doing some more personal ones. You'll see me out on a boat, and another one you'll see me with my husband. And so I do present the 7 steps and talk about them on LinkedIn, my LinkedIn videos right now, but also Facebook. I am all platforms. So.
All platforms, but it sounds like LinkedIn is a solid place to go. Dr. Yes. Doreen Downing. Thank you so much for being on the show and for helping us through the public the finding your voice at all, because I think it's very true. It has so many more applications than just public speaking. Confidence in life and knowing that you have a voice and being, free and finding the freedom to speak up is so important. I know a lot of people struggle with that, so hopefully this helped help them in their journey with that.
Yes, I hope so too. Thank you so much, Noah.
Oh, thank you for being on, and your time and value and knowledge. And for everybody listening, I hope you have a good one, and I will see you next time.